Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. I am your host, Doc. Hope that you had a beautiful Father's Day weekend, Juneteenth. Whatever it is that you celebrate, I hope that it was wonderful. Thank you again for tuning in. And let's talk about something before we get to the regular show. You know how this goes. Never let fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. This is a quote actually by Babe Ruth, the New York Yankee baseball player from the early 1900s. But it applies to today, it applies to life, it applies to everything you do. You got to take some chances. You got to plan, prepare, perform, and have faith. If you fail, it's okay. Do your research, you study, and you perform your job. If you think about it, how did you get your job, your real job? You went out there, you took a chance, you didn't keep the bat on your shoulder, you put in a resume, you might have took a test, and you got that job. How did you get your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or whoever you may be? You took a chance, you rapped to them, you spoke to them on the phone, you didn't keep the bat on your shoulder. You got your apartment or your house by taking a chance. You went to the college that you went to by putting in an application. There was no guarantee that they were going to accept you, but you took the chance. We cannot spend life with the bat on our shoulder, being scared to even enter the game. You got to be in the game. And if you fail, if you're scared to fail, you will never reach success. Failure is a building block to success. It lets us know what we're doing wrong. It lets us know what we're doing right, what we need to correct to move forward. This applies to relationships. This applies to health. This applies to almost every form and fashion in life. I wish that you would take the chance. And I'm not saying that you aren't because I don't know your situation. You might be the biggest swinger of every pitch there is. And I don't know that. And if you are, you need to be teaching other people how to swing for the fences. It's all right to teach others who do not know what you know. That might be a gift that you have inside you. But don't take the fear. Don't let fear rule you because we are going to stumble. We're going to fall. That's why they make band aids and bandages. That's why there's stitches to sew up the wounds of life. We're going to get them. And if you don't get any, then that means you really didn't take any chances. Every time I do this podcast, I am taking a swing at the ball that nobody will listen, that nobody will like. And this is the chance that I am willing to take to get whatever I have during a particular period of time off my chest, out of my mind, and out of my spirit. And that's what I do. And this is just a form of it. I wish you the best. I hope that you hit home runs. I hope that you actually hit grand slams that win World Series. Not just swing the bat, but that you're so damn successful that your swings count as a grand slam and you win the World Series for you and for your people. So let's move on to the regular portion of the show. So Trump pleaded not guilty in Miami federal court this week for the indictment and the arraignment of the documents that he had in Mar-a-Lago. We'll see. I already stated until something happens, until he has a trial date, only thing I'm going to do is pass off information. I really will not go into detail what I think or what I feel about Donald Trump in this situation. I've spoke about him ad nauseum. Uh, this is just a wait and see. This trial might not even happen to sometime in 2024. And before then, there'll be a lot of conspiracy theories. There'll be a lot of theories per se about what should and should not happen to a former sitting president. And we'll figure that out as it goes. I want to do a quick review of the ZIO. That's the ZIO patch. It's a cardiac monitor. I went to my doctor last week. I believe it was last Tuesday, and they told me that they wanted me to wear this patch for a week. And I just want to give a slight review. First of all, people, the thing you barely know you have it on. The lights have never went on. The worst part about it, it gives me a little bit of itching because I guess they had to shave the hair on my chest. And I get to take this thing off tomorrow and mail it back. So it's no inconvenience. You don't have to drop it back at the doctor's office. You don't have to use the logbook if you don't want. Me personally, like I said, this thing doesn't weigh but a couple of ounces. You don't even notice it's on. I've been able to bathe normally. I've been able to wear my shirts. I've been able to go through basic life with this thing on unnoticed. This is a lot different than the old monitors that had all those wires and came with a pouch that you used to have to keep around your neck that you would have to take off when you showered and make sure that you had the right cord and the right hole. There's no cords, there's nothing like that. There's no batteries that I know of. This thing is nice, it's easy. And if you have to go home with it for a week or two, other than the itching part, which I do say is a pain, you should not even have anything in your life dramatically affected by the ZIO patch, okay? Just wanted to let you know. As you know, I am a documentary freak. So I've been watching some documentaries. I was watching The Food That Built America, a very interesting program. It was on the History Channel. It talks about all kinds of different foods that you might not know that in the early 1900s we think of as regular. Americans thought of as weird and foreign, even down to the potato chip and the hamburger. So they go into the history of these companies. These are all well known companies that you would know by face and brand. So I found it very interesting. And I also watched Bill Walton's 30 for 30, the luckiest man in the world. Now, did I think it was a little bit long? Yes. I don't know if it needed to be 4 parts, but it was 4 parts. That seems to be the standard these days. Bill Walton lived a abnormal life. He was a great basketball player. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a champion. And they got into all aspects of Bill's life, even his phobia of being called a 7 footer. We know some of these guys are 7 foot, but for some reason they feel like it's a freak zone when they hit the 7 foot plateau, so they like to be referred to as 6'11". I don't want to go too far into detail. I'm just saying I give a thumbs up to Bill Walton's 30 for 30, the luckiest man in the world. One of the weirdest shows on television at any point in time in the history of television, as far as I'm concerned. The Eric Andre show has returned for a 6th season. These are very short episodes. I say 10 to 15 minutes at max. No commercials. It's bang, bang, boom. This is quick, fast, and annoying into a hurry, but I enjoyed the show. So Eric Andre season 6, it's madness. It's you probably even enjoy it more if you had 2 or 3 beers. I don't drink, but if you had 2 or 3 beers and you look at this lunacy, you say, "What the hell is this guy doing? And why is this even on TV?" And that's the kind of enjoyment you get out of this program. The Black Mirror has returned for season 6. I have not finished all of the Black Mirror, but I did watch the episode that Joan is awful. And there are some things that Joan does in this episode that are truly awful. I can't go into detail if you not have not seen it. Also, Lock Henry. I can't give away the ending to Lock Henry. It might start off a little slow, but when they make the turn around the corner, either you have been keeping up and you'll know the turn, or it will be 100% shock. So I can't give away. But I highly recommend at least Joan is Awful and Lock Henry, which were the first 2 episodes of The Black Mirror. I watched a documentary this morning on Marvel's creator or co-creator, Stan Lee. Stan Lee brought a lot of enjoyment into people's lives. His work still brings enjoyment into people's lives today. He created the Marvel Universe. There was some controversy. He touched on it as far as Spider-Man goes. Uh, but these are comics that we're all well aware of. I mean, this is stuff that started an industry where they stopped writing for kids and they started writing for teenagers and adults, and people make tons of money off of collectibles. Stan Lee is an icon to most little boys who have ever lived in America, at least since the 1940s. This is not a name that you're not familiar with. So if you got 2 hours of your life, Give Mr. Stan Lee's documentary a peek, and it's simply titled Stan Lee. Can't get no simpler than that, right? So the Walking Dead's Dead City is returning. Well, is coming back. This is going to be Negan and what is her name? Okay, it's Negan and Maggie. I knew that would come to me. Negan and Maggie come to New York City, post-apocalyptic, and obviously The Walking Dead still exists there. And so I'll probably watch episode one today. I've been holding on this for 2 days, but I've been watching some other stuff that kept me distracted, so I didn't have the time or the energy. But I will get into that. And I'm hoping that this is a very good series. I hope that it holds up to the standards of The Walking Dead. I don't watch the other Walking Dead show that had Morgan on it and the young lady. I watched the first season or two. It really was not my cup of tea, so I moved on from that. But there will be several spinoffs to The Walking Dead. Daryl's going to get a spinoff. I believe there'll be two other spinoffs. So The Walking Dead is doing like Marvel. They're creating their own universe. Oh, matter of fact, Michonne and Rick are going to have a spinoff. How could I forget that? Two of the biggest stars in the history of The Walking Dead, they're going to have a spinoff. Obviously, they're going to bang into each other again, reunite, and spin off from there. So last week, we had Conor McGregor at the NBA Finals game in Miami. And after the game, the next day, he gets accused of rape allegations. Now, this is strange talk with Doc. We don't deal with rumors or innuendo. But this woman did put a bag of clothing and give it to the police. Supposedly his DNA is in on these clothing. We'll see if she's a huckster or if he really needs to be dealt with legally. Connor has got to separate his name from nonsense. He's got to start acting like an adult. He's got to put himself in a position where people who look up and love him, he can give them something to be proud of. He's got to stop with the shenanigans. I mean, seriously, his name should not be linked to beating up old men, all kinds of nonsense, knocking out mascots. It's time to step into a whole nother atmosphere. I mean, he just said that he's having his fourth child. I mean, come on, Connor, get your shit together. Now, bigger Connor news, more troubling Connor news to me. Connor, as of Friday, had 2 days to enter himself into the United States drug testing in order to fight before the end of this year. Now, the thing is, you have to be in this anti doping blood testing for 6 months before you're eligible to fight. Now, we are already at 619, so that would not leave him a lot of time before the end of the year, and the UFC might not even have a card that is after 1219 in 2023. So Conor is on The Ultimate Fighter. He's on The Ultimate Fighter with Michael Chandler. And as you know, the coaches are supposed to battle at the end of the season. And right now, there's no fight signed. So Conor is just out there getting publicity. He could sit in Michael's face on the show and talk about he's going to knock him out, he's going to hurt him, but they don't even have a bout. Now, me personally, with the money that Conor has, the celebrity status that Conor has, the 3 kids and a pregnant wife or pregnant fiance at home, last thing I'm thinking about is getting in the gym and fighting again for say 10 million when you're worth 400 million. It's just not worth it. I mean, I wish Conor the best. I wish him a turnaround, a serious turnaround. How he turned his life around from a poor kid on welfare in Ireland. It's time to turn himself around from a hooligan to a gentleman. But that's just my personal opinion. Thinking about the UFC, we did just have a UFC card, and Jared Cannonier put it on Marvin Vettori. That was a damn good fight. Marvin Vettori is a tough SOB. He took way too many punches, I thought. Janet Cannonier looked great. I wish this would have been the way he looked when he fought Izzy, but Unfortunately, he didn't. He seemed very passive in that fight. This fight, he was ultra aggressive from the get go. If you get a chance to see this bout and you want to see a really tough dude and another guy bring it to a tough dude, check out Vittori versus Cannonier. This week, we got a UFC card. It's going to be the headliner for this card is going to be Josh Emmett versus Ili Taparia. And this is going to be coming from Jacksonville, Florida. It's going to be on ABC and ESPN Plus. Also, the prelims are going to be on ESPN and ESPN Plus. You're going to have Marcy Barber on this card. You got Neil Magny on this card. Randy Brown is on this card. Victor Martinez is on this card. Gabriel Santos is on this card. Justin Toffler's on this card. Bruno Silva's on this card. Phil Rowe is on this card. Amanda Ribas is on this card. So this should be a very interesting card. Now, the Las Vegas Knights, congratulations on bringing home a Stanley Cup within the first 6 years of this team arriving in Las Vegas. That's pretty amazing. The owner promised that by 2023, he would build a champion for the city of Las Vegas, and he has done. He has lived up to his word, and the Golden Knights have won their very first Stanley Cup championship. So congratulations to them. Now, a dude I don't particularly like too much, but I don't wish him bad. Bob Higgins had to resign at the University of West Virginia. He made the Hall of Fame as a basketball coach last year. He used to coach Cincinnati. And naturally, like I just said, he coaches West Virginia. But he had to step down because of a DUI arrest. Now, last year, he had made some homophobic comments, which really didn't cost him anything but $1 million fine, which I thought West Virginia should have came down harder on him. You don't denigrate a group of people for no reason who aren't bothering you. But here's the thing, man. This is a man approaching 70s. Still can't think to not put a key in a car or hit a button for the ignition while you're under the influence of alcohol and you want to teach young men how to be men? It makes no sense. We got to get past this culture where people think that it's all right to drive high, drive drunk, drive impaired. It is not. Because the thing is, you can take innocent people's lives. I am anti-drinking and driving. I have done a lot of bad shit in my life. I've done a lot of stupid shit in my life. I will admit it. But I have never got behind a wheel of an automobile with even a beer in my system. Because if that's the case, you know what? You call yourself a baller, you got some money, you got some friends, you got some family, call one of them and say, get me from point A to point B so I don't hurt somebody, so I don't hurt my damn self. They said this man's alcohol limit was twice the legal amount. He said he didn't remember some of the shit that he had did that evening. I mean, that's scary, man. You got this vehicle, you could be killing kids, dude. You could be killing kids, ma'am. So stop with the drinking and driving. It is too damn easy to get a Uber. It is too damn easy to get a Lyft. And it's too damn easy to go on your cell phone, text message, or call a friend. You'd be surprised. Take the bat off your shoulder, take a swing, and see if somebody out there loves you enough to pick you up and get you from point A to point B. And the next day, you could take a Uber or Lyft one way to pick up your car. So the Nuggets won their very first NBA title when they defeated the Miami Heat 4-1. We knew it already. Nikola Jokic won the MVP of the NBA Finals, which makes up for him getting robbed of his third straight MVP trophy during the regular season. So now 2 of the 4 OG teams that entered the NBA from the ABA, which were the New Jersey Nets, my San Antonio Spurs, the Denver Nuggets, and the Indiana Pacers. Now, they have all played in championships, but 2 of them can now say that they are champions. It took the Nuggets 47 years, and the way that team looks, It looks like they might be able to win some more titles down the road. They are loaded, they're young, they're signed. Joker is a beast. I'll talk about the Suns in a second, but that team is loaded and locked. So John Moran is suspended for 25 games without pay. Okay, John Moran, the biggest story with John Moran is, will he learn his lesson? That's yet to be seen. I am not going to judge this man. He is a 23-year-old man, but that makes him a young man. He hasn't reached full maturity mentally, physically, or emotionally as of yet. The statistics say that men don't reach that until they're 27 years old. I hope that his father is mentoring him properly so that the mistakes that he made, he does not repeat. See, that's when you become a fool, when you repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Now, Ja has got his second chance to right the ship. He is beloved by many. His talent is undeniable. I am wishing him nothing but the best. I'm wishing that he goes out there and balls out. This year is kind of a throwaway year for him. He's going to hurt his team by missing 25 games. They're not that good that they can move deep into the playoffs or maybe even make the play in without him. He won't be making any All Star or All NBA teams, so he's going to cost himself future money. But his sneakers are selling. He represents youth and the young culture. I think he can bounce back from this. People have bounced back from a lot worse. Look at Mike Tyson. People forget Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is out there as though he had lived a good, clean Christian life, and nobody gives a rat ass about his past. And John Moran didn't do anything close to that. John Moran didn't do anything what you would call illegal. He did some stupid shit. He can't keep himself from getting praise online, which he shouldn't be looking for. He shouldn't be thinking about what Doc thinks of him. I'm not consequential to his day to day. He does not know me. He does not answer to me. And as soon as he figures out who he answers to, hopefully he answers to a higher power. And those are the standards that are set on him. And higher power starts at his parents on up to grandparents and whatever. I mean, people make all kinds of excuses for him. They make excuses that he comes from a small town, this, that, and the other. Now, you got to think about what Memphis is. And I'm not going to tell him that he should be afraid to be in Memphis, or he should be afraid to be in any big city. Get your bodyguards. It's not a thing when you're a celebrity to feel embarrassed because you have a security detail. You might need one. I mean, you are a brand. You're walking around. You're worth $500 million, man. You're no longer a normal citizen of the United States. You are a thing. Understand that, and you, if you don't know, most of them do have security. It's just that paparazzi has been able to frame pictures in a way where their security don't show up all the time in the pictures. You think LeBron is just walking around when he's in LA by himself? No, that's falsehood. He's got people, and it's all right to have people because you're also creating a job. You're allowing other people to be able to not only help you, but then be able to take care of their family by providing them with a living. So I wish him the best. It looks like the Wizards are going to send Bradley Beal to the Suns. Now, that is going to make the Suns a super team. I don't care what anybody says. If you got Devin Booker, you got Kevin Durant, and you got Bradley Beal and Aton as your center, all you need is any reliable point guard. I mean, anybody. He doesn't even have to be a brand name. All he has to do is be somebody who's willing to pass the ball, who can handle the rock, play a little defense. But, before we go crazy with the Suns, let's realize the Suns only have 5 guys signed to a 13-man roster, and they don't have a lot of money. $164 million is going to be allocated to these 5 guys. Now, are they going to pick up 8 guys who are willing to take league minimum and be halfway decent? Or are they going to wear these 5 guys out? Because that was part of the problem for the Suns last year in the playoffs. They had to spend so much energy, Durant and Booker, that it was hell on their bodies. And then when you had to travel up to Denver with that air, it makes it almost impossible. But if they stay healthy, they should create a lot of noise. Chris Paul is that trade is being sent to the Wizards with some second round picks, multiple second round picks, and they swapping picks with the Wizards. Now, I don't believe there's any way, shape, or form that Chris Paul plays for the Wizards. I think that at his age, it's time for him to bid us adieu, move on to make those commercials with Jake from State Farm, get behind the booth, coach, whatever. Chris Paul, you're not getting that ring. I'm not a big fan of Chris Paul. Matter of fact, I'm not a fan of Chris Paul at all. I always thought that he was overhyped. When people tried to put him over Tony Parker with Tony Parker's accomplishments versus Chris Paul's accomplishments, I always thought it was a joke. I always thought it was people playing favorites because Chris Paul is beloved, and for some reason Tony Parker, he's a Spur, so nobody gives a rat's ass about the Spurs because they didn't make enough headlines. But you know what? Whatever happens with him, if he decides that he wants to play a season in Washington, which they'll go nowhere. I mean, this was the 12th team in the East. They were under 500, and I don't see how they do anything over there. Like I said, if the Wizards are actually smart, they cut Chris Paul. They release him. They buy him out, let him move on and do whatever the hell he wants to do. Maybe at ancient history, him and LeBron hook up, and you could have a 39-year going on a 40-year-old and a 38-year-old point guard going on 39 play together and see how that works out for the Lakers. So Lemon Pepper Lou Williams, the 3-time Sixth Man of the Year and the NBA all-time leading scorer off the bench, has retired after 17 seasons. Lou Williams came out of high school. He's one of the last of a bunch of guards to come out of high school. Usually big men do it. And for him to have a 17-year career, I know that he shopped around. He went to a lot of places, but he was a key member everywhere he went. I mean, you don't win 3 Six-Mans of the Year and become the all-time leading scorer off the bench. And I think he's the 131st leading scorer in the history of the NBA. He should be proud of his accomplishments, and I wish him the best, man. And just in case you don't know, the NBA draft is going to be Thursday, which is 6/22. And my San Antonio Spurs better, and I don't care what they offered and who they offered, they better draft Victor Wembanyama, the 19-year-old 7'3" giant with the handle and the 8-foot wingspan. I want to hear with the number 1 pick in the 2023 draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Victor Wembanyama. And that's all I better hear Thursday night. After that, I can go to bed. I could turn the TV, but that's what I need to hear. I don't want to hear about no trades. I don't want to hear about no pieces coming over, because if San Antonio Spurs do not draft him, and I've been a fan of the San Antonio Spurs since 1980, I will take this as my walk-away pass, my get-out-of-jail-free pass as they're struggling. And I don't know who I would root for. I probably would never have another major team again. It's too late in life for me. But I would take that as they don't care, I don't care. But I don't think that's going to happen. They just re-signed Pop to another 3-year contract, and he's in his 70s, so I think he wants to coach this kid. This kid could probably turn his team around like Duncan did, like Robinson did, who were both lottery draft picks, and I'm wishing us the best. So the U.S. Open was this week, and it was the weirdest U.S. Open I ever seen. That L.A. Country Club is a piece of shit place. It looked dry. The sun never really came out, and if it did, it was 5 minutes. It was too late on the East Coast. People still golfing at 9 o'clock in the night. On the East Coast, you had 2 guys shoot a 62, which was Xander Schauffele and Rickie Fowler. That was history making day 1. But then Schauffele never turned it around again. He played mediocre golf for the remaining 3 days. Rickie Fowler got a lot of love, a lot of fanfare. He was the poster boy of the tournament, but then he only proceeded to shoot two under in the next 3 days combined. So, I mean, one under on a matter of fact, I don't even think he did that. I think he shot even the next 3 days of the tournament. Like I said, this was a weird place. There was some crazy roughs. Uh, there, I didn't see any hole that had water. I don't think that you should have any major that doesn't have a water hazard. I mean, if amateurs got to go out there and deal with water, I want to see the world's best golfers deal with water. There wasn't a big crowd. There wasn't a lot of getting the holes. So the fan participation was off. And by the way, Wyndham Clark won his very first major by winning the U.S. Open. And, congratulations to him. Rory McIlroy came in second by one stroke. Rory lost that one stroke over the course of these 4 days, maybe 10 times. If Rory, I don't know what it is with Rory, and I like Rory a lot. He's one of my favorite players. I mean, there's some guys that you give up on right now. I've given up on Justin Thomas. He's played garbage golf, and I can't really co-sign somebody playing that bad for such a long period of time. But I look forward to next week Travelers Championship. It's got to look better, feel better, and have more vibe than this major championship, which was a total waste for the U.S. Open. Think about it. They didn't even set up the main golfers so that you would be, while you were watching, you could see some of the world's best, at least 6 or 7 of the world's best playing at one time out on the course. It seemed like they had 3 or 4 good guys and then 7 guys you never heard of. And this is who TV was following. I mean, they were following amateurs. They were following people that, but everybody don't got to be a brand. But man, my goodness, this was crazy. And to get back to the headline, never let fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. That is important. Don't let fear disturb your flow. I mean, don't let it disturb you from going to doctors, uh, getting help, seeking out legal advice. Once again, I said this before. This is a term used by Babe Ruth, but it affects all facets of life. You wouldn't even have that woman that is next to you or that man that is next to you if you didn't take a chance and get in the game and give them a chance. See, because you getting in the game is also giving other people a chance to be in the game with you. And you never know who you might meet, who might help you and change the course of your entire existence. And not just your existence, but even down to your great grandchildren's existence. If you have enough faith, it only takes one person to love you enough. If they're the right person, they can change your whole being on this planet. They really could. They could put you in a position where you have more than you ever need, and you're able to pass that more than you ever need on to other people. And I'm going to tell you, people, like I tell you each and every time, I appreciate you. I love to hear from you. Please go to my website if you get a chance. The link to my website is attached anywhere that you hear Strange Talk with Doc. If you get a chance, give me some feedback. I always will say this. Feedback to me means more than liking, subscribing, and sharing. I love to hear from people who listen to me, and I want to know why, if you can, what you thought about what I said, if you want me to go into more detail about some subject matters that I bring up. I like to keep it moving. I don't want to bore you. I want you to be able to enjoy your experience, but I also want to drop a little bit of information about a lot of subjects because I don't believe in being a one-trick pony. And I'm going to tell you, like I tell you each and every time, peace to you and peace to yours, people.